Hey, hot mic.
Piece of cake. Do we have anybody waiting to get in?
We do not.
Okay,
It is certainly low enough.
well, first order of business is to appoint Jonathan Pinkney as village trustee. I asked Jonathan to join us. We talked on several occasions and first order is to swear you in. Take a seat at the table and join us. You, how do you want to do this?
Well, I was just wondering the same.
I'll get out of the way. You gotta crawl over that.
Yeah. Oh. I should get
This
my
isn't
leg
gonna
caught.
work.
No, it's not. I'm gonna go
Jonathan,
this
walk
way.
over there. Walk over there.
Okay.
Well,
do you want
the
the whole
flag,
line?
the
That's
flag.
okay.
We're doing it because we want the flag behind
flag.
you.
It's a photo.
thing.
guys.
It's a-
It's a,
yeah.
it's a,
We'll make it
it's
work.
a better
right.
picture.
Move the chair, yeah.
Or we can move. Yeah, we got this.
Why don't you go around the other way?
Yeah. Well, I thought I'd.
Probably too many people to learn.
Yeah.
This way.
This isn't gonna end well.
No.
It is gonna end beautifully.
With a better picture.
We're all tangled up.
It's all about the photos.
Sorry.
In the age of digital
Actually,
media,
I'm all
folks,
about the
it's about the
flag.
photo.
And.
Didn't really happen if
Can
there
you
wasn't.
raise your right hand and repeat after me? I, Jonathan Pinkney,
I, Jonathan Pinkney,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of village trustee
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of the village trustee
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All
right.
Give this on. Enter something, please.
There you go, sign right there.
Give me the title at 2 or 9.
No, that's right. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great to
Happy to
see
be
you.
on board.
Welcome.
I can't walk with you. I can't sit without
I didn't stay over there.
Yeah, that's just.
Got it.
the compliment. For-
I've been trying
for
all
the
night.
clutch.
I've been
You're
trying
working
all
hard
night.
at that. Okay. Jonathan may be a little behind the 8 ball on a few of the things, but we're gonna get him up to speed here.
It won't take us.
Little
I
green, but
Won't
I'll
take a
figure
while.
it out.
Learn by doing.
So,
Supplied.
no minutes, correct?
Yes, you have minutes.
They're in there?
Yep.
Oh, did you see them?
Nope.
Yes.
You did? Okay, then if they're in there, they're in there. I didn't think they were gonna
No.
be finished.
They weren't in there when I
I
pulled.
read them yesterday.
Did you? Okay.
Not to make anybody, yeah, because I sent a correction to Sally
Yeah, spell
on a
Were
spell.
they in the
packet, both packets.
packet? Okay. Maybe I got it, just didn't realize it. Today.
Maybe because they were there.
Barb saw.
I mean, I sent a correction, so
Okay,
I had to have seen it.
Yeah, no, I,
so what do you wanna
Just
do?
demonstrated that they're.
Approve them
It
is,
doesn't matter, you can wait. It doesn't
we
matter.
can wait if the rest of you haven't seen it, so.
Why don't we?
Yeah, why, that makes sense.
oh, yeah, I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
I'd rather not.
yeah.
move.
You haven't seen, yes.
Okay, I'll add them to the next agenda.
you.
We had talked about it and I
Yeah.
just didn't realize where we were
I
at,
didn't
so
remember.
when I went through, I didn't see them, so.
That's.
Okay,
It's because they're
the
not
next
there.
item, what I did was the presentation on the results of the Court Street pop-up from Complete Streets. I put that right up front. I'm not sure who is going to give us the report. We did have, I think we saw a version of that.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, well, for the record, I'm Kara McLucky, live here in the village of Canton. And I'm on the Complete Streets Task Force's subcommittee for the Court Street pop-up project.
Mhm.
And I'm accompanied by Jennifer and Henry, and whose last name I do know, I just was hoping you would say it, and Toby Urban. The Court Street pop-up took place at the end of September. If you had a chance to experience it, it was a set of alternative transportation lanes and 2 additional crosswalks. The crosswalks are at the corner of, or the intersection of Judson and Court Streets. The alternative transportation lanes were essentially marked in green paint for a while, and then they got washed away. But we maintained our signage out there, so that people could continue to kind of use the pop-up area, as it was intended. There were 3 goals for that particular project. One was to just, introduce some potential roadway changes with an eye on improving safety for pedestrians and alternative transportation users like cyclists in that section of Court Street. To do some community outreach on behalf of the Complete Streets Task Force, as well as just sort of get people aware of what was going on with the pop-up itself. And then finally, to get some community feedback through a feedback survey. We worked with C3G from Clarkson University to compose that survey. We distributed it to the community in a variety of ways. One was through a letter of intent that was given to residents on Court Street and Powers Street with a link to that survey. Flyers throughout the community with a link, a couple of press releases that had a link to the survey, as well as some tabling events at the Canton Farmers Market, distributing the flyers and talking by word of mouth about the survey and about the pop-up itself. We had 18 responses for that survey, which is a little shy of what we could use in terms of actual data. Ideally, we would have wanted 30. But that didn't stop us from making some observations and suggestions based on some of the qualitative feedback and comments that people made to the open-ended questions on that survey. Essentially, what they boil down to are 3 things. One is that the concept of the pop-up or a pop-up is very helpful for the community in terms of figuring out what it might be like, or to demonstrate for the community what roadway improvements could be like for pedestrian and alternative transportation infrastructure. The second thing that we sort of gleaned from the information and from our own observations as a group is that the Court Street pop-up itself strengthened conversations around the need for additional crosswalks at the intersection of Judson and Court Street, to update the existing crosswalks at the public safety complex that leads over to roughly the county clerk's entrance to the courthouse, to update that crosswalk, and the crosswalk at Pearl that leads over roughly to the courthouse entrance. Those need to be updated in terms of their compliance with ADA standards. And also, brought into the conversation the idea that Court Street itself, that section of it from Judson to Powers, could be an integral piece to a larger Canton Trail from Taylor Park to the Remington Recreational Trail, which would also then encompass things like the school and other amenities along Court Street, amenities and resources along Court Street for pedestrian and cyclist or alternative transportation users. And then and that was the third thing that we took away from that, is that Court Street, was a key piece to this potential Canton Trail between those 2 major amenities in the village, or close to, just outside, if you want to say Taylor Park's in the town. So Taylor Park to Remington. Anything else you want to add that you're thinking of?
Right, generally, we did have, the feedback we did get from people, especially at the farmers markets, it was positive. People were happy to have a chance to see it on a trial basis ahead of time. They seemed grateful for that. So that part said to us, okay, maybe doing trial runs or pop-up projects is beneficial, and it does get a certain amount of community buy-in, and really just a chance to test things out and see the feasibility of actually doing them.
And it also presents a chance for us to gather data, again, more data about even things like speed in those kinds of areas, road driver speed in that kind of area. Things to do with parking, how that might be changed if necessary to accommodate stuff like a bike, an alternative transportation lane. or not. But essentially, we came away with the three ideas that the concept of a pop-up is important, that Court Street itself has some improvements that could be made, and that it is a key piece of the Canton Trail. I have a detailed report that gives you some additional suggestions that the Complete Streets Task Force's subcommittee on the Court Street pop-up. It's a very long title, but I got it out. A detailed report that gives you some of the additional suggestions that we had about, potentially doing pop-ups in the future, and how, communication and liaison work with all of the different subcommittee or committees for the Canton Board of Trustees could be, utilized and improved, and what other stakeholders might need, more communication, we need to work with them more carefully or closely, as well as some potential improvements for outreach to the community. And then it also includes, I see Barbara's looking at it right now just because I'm over her shoulder. It also includes a diagram of some of the more detailed modifications that came out of the work that we did on Court Street for the pop-up. Oh,
And we also, in presenting these, I did make some paper copies for you all.
yes.
In case you didn't see it in your paper, so if I may, I'll just hand these around the table.
Give one to Tom.
Pardon?
We'll give one to Tom as well.
I'm sorry.
We'll give one to Tom.
Oh, wait, there he is.
Like one too.
I think one of the things
Oh,
that
there-
this
yeah,
whole
Paul, sorry.
project pointed out to us was the need for additional communication
We give one
and
to Paul.
additional.
I have that electronically, so. you can
Okay,
send that.
well, somebody else take it. if you
I'll
wish.
take one. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Anybody else want?
Yeah, old teacherly attitude of not handing this out at the very beginning because they don't want you sitting there with your nose in the paper.
Not too bad. We were able
But
to.
the notion that we can make some changes now and we can plan for other things in the future, I think came forward in this project. We're not gonna do the $1 million change that will correct the canyon at the end of Court Street and Main Street and Park Street on the other side. We're just not gonna do that. But that doesn't preclude doing other things as the picture that we have indicates. And probably that would be useful to spend a little bit of time discussing what's on this picture in the way of modifications. So I don't know whether, Carrie, you want to go ahead with that, or
Sure.
you want me to plow into it?
No, I'd be happy to do that.
We're not asking for decisions tonight. We're asking for some thoughtful commentary, either now or later, because this is a new model to use in the effort to plan for the village.
So if you're looking at this illustration, bigger one, on the third page of the packet here. This is Court Street. The bottom of the page is south, it's toward Main Street. Top of the page is north toward Powers and State Street. The green lines on either side of the road indicate alternative transportation lanes. I keep saying alternative transportation lanes instead of bike lanes, simply because, well, not simply, but because we envision more people using those lanes aside from just cyclists. I'm a little hesitant to give the impression that it's just for cyclists. It could be for scooter users, mobility scooter users, skateboarders. What I observed personally, when I would go out and kind of look at what was happening on the Court Street when the lanes were out, I saw a lot of runners using them as an alternative to the sidewalks. For various reasons, but they were pretty clear and easy to run on too. So that's what those green lines indicate. The two yellow, I'm working from south to north. You'll see the small stop sign that's by the Public Defender's Office on Judson. That's an existing stop sign. And the crosswalk that traverses Judson is an existing crosswalk. The two new crosswalks that we're talking about would be on the south and north, or north and south corners of Judson and Court, going across Court Street. And the two larger stop signs that you see there, or stop sign icons that you see there, would be the additional stop signs. Now, that suggestion really came from the C3G Court Street study that was done in the spring of 2022. We did, as part of the pop-up, install temporarily, thanks to the DPW and the village superintendent. We did, install those crosswalks so people could experiment and see what they're like. We saw, again, personal observation, saw a number of people using them, particularly people exiting during lunch hour from the courthouse and the
Yeah.
public defender's office and the public safety complex as well. The three-way stop that could potentially be there with the 2 additional stop signs, would be, of course, make it much easier for users to use the crosswalks, as well as a traffic calming measure at that spot. Now, traffic calming could be a number of things. It certainly would slow traffic down there, which might also encourage people to use an alternative route instead of the kind of gauntlet that shows up, or the glut that shows up there during lunch hours and other transportation times. And I think, yeah. And then the Pearl Street crosswalk is an existing crosswalk, the one that traverses Pearl Street. That small stop sign is an existing stop sign. And the 2 other existing crosswalks that go across Court Street, as we know, there's one on the corner of Pearl and the one from the public safety complex to the county clerk's office. Those are existing, but those would be the ones that we would recommend or we would suggest for improvement in terms of ADA accessibility. I believe it's the public safety complex one that has like an actual step down, which kind of makes it unusable for a number of people. They don't have rumble strips. The Pearl Street one, I think, looks okay, but it might need some other consideration. And you'll see the 2 yellow starbursts there. That would be where we would suggest putting a set of the solar powered pedestrian controlled flashing crosswalk signs. The reason those would be absent in the other crosswalk areas, number one, there's stop signs there, and with crosswalks adjacent to stop signs usually don't get flashers, according to what we just read from C3G. So that's part of that's primarily why the flashers would be at that crosswalk at the north of the page, almost exclusively. And then, hopefully if we were looking at a Canton Trail, we would have the alternative transportation lanes extending, easier access to State Street, and then State Street to Sullivan Drive and Sullivan Drive to the Remington Trail. We have not solved, and this certainly doesn't solve the problem of heading south, as Toby already mentioned. I think that's a pretty good tour.
So can we answer any questions about this or any thoughts of next steps? Because certainly it involves money if we're going to do any of these fixes. It would seem that the crosswalks are, sort of why haven't they been done? And to the extent that we could involve the courthouse people and their maintenance of the property, might be a funding source right there.
No, typically DPW does certain number of sidewalks, certain number of feet of sidewalks, and things like that. Improvements to handicapped accessibility is certainly something that is not difficult to do. There is some expense in doing that flashing solar, but it's worked pretty well. I see it in front of my house and see it at the library. So, and there's another one up, I'm not sure, is the other one up and running, Tim?
There's one in front of the
Yeah,
library.
Pleasant.
Yeah, that was-
No,
It is.
That
was up first.
Yeah, that was the first one that we had. So,
That Pleasant? No, the one at,
no, there's not a.
one at Farmer is working,
It's fine.
but you had trouble getting the other one going.
Oh, that's the one that had the battery issue.
Right, I don't know if that's going or not. Okay,
In light of the project that they're gonna be doing at the safety complex,
Mhm.
Yep.
could you
Yep.
roll that into this whole thing? They're doing, we're getting a storm drain out of it.
yeah, I don't, we'll talk to them more, a
I
little
mean,
bit
it's
more.
probably
on
early
it,
for
but-
that, but I mean, that is gonna be a.
But the crossing and handicapped accessibility and that's pretty straightforward.
Right.
The light itself, that, we'll investigate that.
Mhm.
We'll have to talk more about a stop sign, or stop signs. I'm not sure if that has to be a resolution to place a stop sign
Yeah.
in a public hearing.
Well, still, So I have two comments. One is, I appreciate the fact that there's one flasher. I think if you had three in a row, it would lose,
Yeah.
it would blind people potentially. And I think it puts an emphasis on that particular one, which I think is important. In terms of the stop signs, the additional stop signs, being a deterrent for vehicles to come down there at certain times of the day, where do we think they'll go and how will that potentially impact other?
I'm not sure I understand what you're asking.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I said it.
Right.
I said it.
Now it's time to own it.
Yeah, where do I think that they'll go? Good question. There's the potential for, right, using residential streets or staying on.
Sure.
Staying on Main and potentially using Riverside,
Mhm.
crossing right over to Pearl and heading down to Riverside.
Yep.
Depending on where people want to go.
Mhm.
What I think happens there is there's an outflux from the courthouse toward toward the Price Chopper Plaza and Burger King and whatnot. The
Yeah.
places where people can get fast food.
Right.
So I mean, the alternative there would be State Street.
Mhm.
I think.
Yeah, and do we think that, the social services building goes out toward, 310 versus comes into town more? Would that traffic be impacted at all, do you think?
Good question. Personal observation, having spent a year at the DMV in that building. I can say that the tendency of my coworkers at that time was to go toward the plazas, on 310.
I don't know if it'll cause people going other directions. I think it'll create a more orderly process at that intersection.
It's possible too, sure.
I totally agree, because I think that sometimes there's traffic there, and I think that sometimes they're near miss accidents.
But
Not
just,
Judson Street.
if we went in that direction, I think it'd create a more orderly process
Mhm.
going through there. So,
Yeah, no, I have no issue with that.
Any other questions?
Having seen that.
Guess my only question is, are you gonna back up traffic flow though? Cause it's no
I was
longer gonna
thinking
be a
that too.
through, and then my other concern would be you do get a lot of emergency vehicles going through there too, so, but. I don't know, now you get that three-way stop that everybody comes to at the same time, and then some people may think they're turning and somebody's going straight to the community bank, so I don't. It'd be interesting, I mean, it's gonna be a change of traffic flow.
I was wondering about the backing up too, especially because in that particular section, right, just like for, right past the bank, people often leave room to let people turn it into the lot. So in theory, we could be really quite backed up with the stop signs there. But people shouldn't be
They
blocking a
back up
crosswalk anyway.
Judson Oak.
It doesn't, I know, it probably really doesn't matter. Might just lead to more turn taking behavior, I don't know.
One observation is that in multiple stop sign intersections, not necessarily just three-way, but a good example is out at, Outer Park Street and, county, whatever it is that goes where Star Route is.
Mhm.
Yep.
I never know the county names for the roads. That stop sign, four-way stop sign, seems to be a very orderly process. I go through there a lot, and people know, they give, okay, you're the next right-hand person, you get to go, and it goes one car after another, and you don't feel like you're stuck at this interminable traffic light,
Right.
waiting for left-hand turn people to go first, the two of them, and then there's a 30-second delay while the rest of the cycle goes through.
Right.
I mean, the advanced left turn is a real problem as far as I'm concerned. I would say that we were recommending the stop signs as a first step. If it means something more serious, then you have to look at electronic control.
The alignment with the bank driveway is not good.
Right.
Right.
If it was straight across, it'd be a lot better, but with it being offset,
Mhm.
that's gonna be a problem. Doing stop signs there. My personal opinion is, I like having some thoroughfares that run like that, like north-south or whatever, not broken up. We have our side streets that are broken up, going the other way, other directions, a lot of them, so. I think it's actually gonna slow things down. It's just my little opinion. And as far as crosswalks, I would pick one side or the other of Judson. If you're still talking about putting one before and after.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't think that's a big deal for somebody to cross in Judson and then walk across.
Okay.
I think it's too repetitive, because then we've got two more right after that
Yeah.
that are fairly close too, probably only 200-300 feet apart.
And to your point, I am going down further on Park Street in front of St. Lawrence. There are 9
Yeah.
crosswalks within like a very little short span. And it's a lot.
Yeah,
And sometimes people get like tunnel vision and there's so many to see and there's so many places where students can cross. Sometimes it's dangerous. So I'm with you on that one. I would pick one or the other.
yeah, St. Lawrence is dangerous.
They're, yeah, it's
There's
just,
too
they're 9.
much in that
and
little section,
It's a,
and
it's a lot.
And also not looking, just walking.
100%.
I feel very confident no one will run me over, so I won't look,
Yeah,
which, you know,
And
a little nerve wracking.
tonight, dark clothes and boom, and I'm like, okay, you're there. So, yeah, agreed.
Okay,
So,
any other questions?
Just the only comment would be just to check the lighting in that intersection. I don't know if the whole intersection's pretty lit, but if one sidewalk was more in the dark than the other one, you may want to choose the one that was better lighted if you were going through there this time of night would be a consideration.
Well, there's certainly more to talk about before we make any final decisions, so.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you for putting us on the agenda. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for
And
your-
Thank you for your work,
Really
yeah.
appreciate it. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, next up is department head reports. Top of my list here is the superintendent.
Oh, he's not here.
Think you blew up your own spot already.
Anybody, Joe?
No.
Anything to add, Tim, or does anybody have any questions for Tim?
No, I don't think so. Worked a lot of overtime this weekend,
Mhm.
dealing
you.
with snowflakes, so,
Winter's here.
yep,
It's
finally.
arrived.
Well, they got a lot done. It was a
Yep.
crazy weekend,
Yeah,
It was a lot of snow.
so, oh yeah.
We appreciate the removal.
we had a little problem with salt, but we finally got some, so.
Yikes.
And they're doing, night snow removal starting tonight and tomorrow night along Main Street.
Main
District.
Street, okay.
If anybody has ever seen that, I've seen it in action and it's impressive.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, it's fun to see. yeah.
there's snow everywhere.
Happened upon it once last winter and I'm like, this is what this looks like. We appreciate it, for sure.
Okay, chief,
The main thing I was gonna add was the missing person case that I'm sure everybody's read about.
Yeah.
Thank you to the media too for posting everything. That's a big help. We're getting, I think our Facebook page has over 1,000 views now, which is, it's not typical for us. The most we've ever had is 300 in another days. So we've been out searching. We've had help from Canton Fire Department, Parrishville Rescue, the Fire Department, checking the riverbanks, DEC, State Forest Rangers, State Police, Sheriff's Department. And certainly our folks. So we've been checking all the fields and woods and lots of different places that I never knew existed before. We are at a point now where the snow is just so deep, we just can't see much of anything, so. We're holding off until I think about Thursday-ish, because it looks like it's gonna warm up a little bit and we get some rain. So that's kind of our game plan right now. I've been in, myself and Sergeant Stone have been in constant contact with, the mother. She's knows everything we're doing and, feel really bad for her.
Yeah.
But, we're on the same page. Well, that's the main thing I have right now. If anybody has any questions, I can try to answer them.
Thank you for
Anything
your,
Yeah.
yeah, just thank you for your efforts and the team.
Everybody.
Okay, thank you. Tough times.
Yeah.
Rec. Hi,
Hi.
the ice looks good.
That's good.
Corners look level.
Well, I did ice maintenance today. In between, what, 4 meetings?
Yeah.
So that was good. No, I don't really have anything, to add. Actually, no, the one thing to add, last night I attended the Canton Minor Hockey Board meeting to discuss the, rink sport board project. Canton Minor Hockey, they've headed up the fundraising for that. Historically, they've kind of managed it historically. And their board decided that they are going to focus on it as a 10-month facility, because of our fluctuating weather right now. So, we are still, in the future, if our weather patterns change, we still have the option to flood it if it works. There's a lot of time and effort that goes into it, and when you put in 30, 40 hours and then you get a rainstorm, it's ruined. So they don't, they're kind of maxed out on their volunteers, and we don't have any more time. So, but we're getting plans in the works, so we still have the option to do it. Because it's a great facility that they're working on. And they've kind of decided that they're gonna invest their money, and make it, really invest it into like a 10-month facility. So even in November, if it's a 3 day, kids could go out there and play. So that's what they're kind of, it's still an outdoor rink, but they're going to focus on really making it a year-round facility. That way they just get more use out of it.
That's great.
They've had a lot of donors, and they've got a good chunk of change in their bank account for it. And so they're just gonna slowly, continue to make upgrades to it and just really just focus on getting the most use out of it for right now. Cause there's 3 feet of snow in it right now, so.
Mhm.
And no way to get it out.
So the projected 10 months would be,
Well, it's mainly just focusing, because eventually they do want to put a roof on it.
Oh,
how about that?
So, even in the summertime, if it's raining,
Mhm.
people could still go there and play, whatever.
Yeah.
They talked about putting down, it's like a special tile floor. And it's an outdoor tile. It's really popular right now because pickleball is really popular right now, so it's an easy conversion to like
Sure.
make a really nice surface. But it's a surface where you could order any kind of sport lines on it. So you could order the lines and you could have tennis, you could have basketball, you could have lacrosse, you could have indoor soccer lines, you could have all these different lines that the
Very cool.
community can use. And they're really focused on not locking it down to one group. They want it to be, 100% a community space. And having open play hours where families, kids, anybody can come and just play. And I think definitely the addition of a roof would really make it something special, because the only indoor recreation space we have is the pavilion. That's it. And probably the number one request that I get from community members is adult basketball.
Really?
Yeah. And because the gyms are taken.
Yeah.
right.
That's between that and, oh yeah, swimming. I forgot about swimming. I had a phone conversation with Scott Sanderson, over at Kent Central. We spoke, this past summer during swim lessons because they're building a new pool. The rec department used to have community pool hours. And obviously with school security getting more ramped up, they kind of had to go away because there was no external entrance to the.
Yeah,
pool.
the accessibility was
Yeah,
ridiculous.
they couldn't control it.
You have to wander through the school to get there.
Right, and they just they couldn't control the access. So with the new pool, they do have an external door.
Sure.
And so Scott and I are in conversations about
them having community pool hours and we would manage the lifeguards to cover it. And, you know, obviously there's a lot to discuss and obviously with the rec committee and how we were going to do it. Cause it's for him, you know, he was honest, it's too much for him to manage covering lifeguard staff and all that stuff out while he's doing everything else. And that is a request that I get a lot from the community as well, is the community pool hours.
That's awesome.
And I think it's great. They're gonna have a beautiful facility and it's a way for more people to get more use out of it.
Yeah.
Because they
Yeah.
are not cheap.
For sure. No, they're not.
And
You know.
this school is very lucky to. be
Right,
doing
we are
that.
paying for it, so we might as well use it, right?
Yeah,
Right.
so I think it's great. We'll see how it goes. There's a lot more conversations to go on with it,
Sure.
but it's,
That's
you know,
exciting though.
it's good that they kind of thought about that when they were designing it, to
Right.
have external access, so they don't have to open up the entire school for
Right.
somebody to use a facility.
Great.
Okay. Anything? Go ahead.
Do we wanna talk about what we've been discussing? To get it out to the public about my officers' visitors? Hockey games? This is, this is
That's
the
your
forum.
call.
Okay, then I'm gonna make it. It's okay with you. I'm not, I
That's your
don't mean to
call.
step on toes. So, especially for our media folks and the board, we've had a few discussions about folks that are going to the Canton High School hockey games. People are drinking in the parking lots and somewhat inside. So I've been trying to spread the word, and I'm hoping that the media will print something about that the Canton Police Department's gonna start sending some officers up. I would love it if everyone just decided not to do that anymore and that my officers were completely bored and just left with nothing. But if folks decide they're gonna do otherwise, then there's no surprises. So we tried to relay that to the school so that those folks know. So again, if it was in the media, that would be really, really appreciated. And I want the board to know that, you know, that's up there trying to find something to do to irritate folks. That's not what we're doing. So.
You're just coming up to watch the game.
Okay. Anything else for Megan?
I mean, we have proper signage up there, right? That's, those.
Oh,
yeah.
That's not a new.
That's not a
never
new thing.
stopped some people.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Well, they wanna start their own blue line club out there. That's not gonna work.
And just so everyone's aware, since it's village property, we can write tickets and all of that. So again, hoping we don't write any. but-
Well, hopefully the message will be received.
Yeah.
I'm clear.
Okay.
Sorry that
Uh,
that's an issue. You know?
Assessor report?
Hi, good evening. Let's see. You're probably wondering what I put on the table in front of you. It's not in my report. I just got it this week. Came down from our regional manager in Syracuse who's getting ready to retire. So our county director sent it down to us, and those are the trends over the last year from the sales from July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023. As you can see, Canton, the residential sales trend went up by 8%. And the commercial properties went up by 6%. And the vacant land sales went up by 5%. Again, I ran my analysis, putting in the time trend table and running the analysis, and looks like our equalization rate looks like it's gonna come down to 69 from 74 this year. So I won't know for sure until I meet with our regional manager and the state, and then when they come up with their figures, and then we'll compare the figures. But it looks like from what the sales have been coming in over at least the last 4 years, it's been, you know, it's been incredible. But who expected that when we had the pandemic, and it's just still going, and people are coming in and buying homes and over and above what they're assessed at, and that's pushing those numbers. So I'll know more in February when I meet with the regional manager. Also not in my report, there's a lot going on. There's gonna be mass mailing, like last year, there was those postcards that everybody got about the senior age exemption. If they qualify, this year I'm putting the amount in, so I will not be getting 200 phone calls to answer what is the income limit.
Live and
So
learn.
that will be on the postcard. It's probably around first week or two in February, they'll be going out. And they're going out to everybody. Whoever has a 1-family or 2-family home. They're looking at the 200 parcel, the property class, so they'll be getting last year, I think it was like 2,500 postcards that went out, something like that. So we'll be doing that again. As far as my report concerned, I put in about the solar and wind valuation model. Again, what the state came up with and what the Assessors Association, and they're going back and forth, and they're claiming that what the discount rate's coming in low and it's putting a value, assessed value low for the solar. We have not yet done anything yet. None of these projects have started. And a lot of them are gonna be covered by the pilot program, and even so, I still have to come up with a value for the state running through the model. So they're back and forth right now, and it seems like every year they're going up against what the state's doing and the Assessors Association. So I put that letter in so you guys can see what's going on over there.
It makes a good case.
You have any questions?
No, it's eye-opening, kind of a little eye-popping how
Yeah.
model is out of whack, it appears.
Yeah, I mean, last time when we did an example of the Rich Road project. And I ran the model on that and it came in like 30% of what the cost of the project was.
Yeah.
So that's what we're looking at.
That's a problem.
Yeah, it's a big problem.
That's a
So
big
I don't know, so what they're gonna decide, and I'll keep you posted
Okay.
as to what's decided. Also, when I sent out the age senior exemptions, there was a lot going on. When I went to the conference in September, and the New York State Department of Taxation and Finance was there, and they went through all the changes that with the income, and as you can see, there's two people, one who files and one who doesn't file. And if they don't file, there's a worksheet, and I had to mail out the worksheet to those people, and they had to fill it out and sign it. And I have a feeling if the state looks to, usually they come back at those people and mail them a form and to fill out. I have a feeling they come to me for the form, because I think that was the reason for us to put in the worksheet for the seniors to fill out. So I'm getting them back, and I had a good response so far. And March 1st, everybody deadline, so make sure you get in your renewals or whatever application are. And the nonprofits have been coming back, and so I've got a good response from them so far. So, and anybody else have any questions?
Okay.
Oh, please check out my website. I fixed my webpage. I don't know if you've been in there. And I'm really proud of myself. I'll tap myself on the shoulder, but yeah, check it out. You can pull up, there's a lot of information there. Please look at it, and let me know what you think. Okay?
Thank you.
Thanks, Sydney.
Okay. Kim?
Pretty quiet, just issued 2 permits. In December and January, focusing on my fire safety inspections and working on my training of my new software through Civic Plus.
Okay,
That's about it. Anybody got any questions?
no? Okay, thank you.
Well,
First,
Really don't have anything to add. This is our especially busy month with all of our HR forms we need to complete.
Yep.
So really nothing to add to my report.
okay. Any questions for Sally? I know there's some financial things that went out. I don't think we have anything to add to.
No.
Okay. Nobody signed on, Sally?
Nobody.
Economic Development, she was gonna try to hop on, her report is there. I don't know if there was anything that, need to be highlighted publicly? I mean, it's all out there.
I mean, we probably talk about it in committee reports.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got the dog control. It's nice to see that,
Nice to be able to read.
All is
you
controlled.
can read it and he's been around. We got a
Something
lot more
happened.
control
Who
going on.
knows?
There is in fact,
Did I miss
A little
anybody?
Scrap of paper.
the historian's not here,
The
so.
historian's not here either. She's, something's going on. She's sick or something. Okay, need a motion to accept department head reports?
So moved.
Any opposed?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Committee reports. I mean, I can start. Finance Committee. We will be meeting next week with Drescher and Malecki. There, and I'm not sure if we talked about this last month or not. We are going to be doing really an abbreviated audit for this past year. They'll be providing us with financial statement. There's a couple of reasons why we didn't go with the full-blown audit. We had to unwind some of the issues with some of our bank statements, and that has been accomplished. Our treasurer has done a tremendous amount of work to get that straightened around, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Full-time effort being made, and I think we're at the point now where we're in good shape. So it'll be an abbreviated audit, and the Finance Committee will be meeting with representatives from Drescher and Malecki next Wednesday. We were supposed to do it today, but things got messed up. At the same time, we've decided we're gonna begin a salary review for all our non-contract employees. It'll be a high-level review of all of our non-contract employees. See where we're at with all of our positions. For anybody that's not represented by a union. Anything you wanted to add to that?
Nope.
I don't know if I covered it.
You did, thank you.
And what next?
Economic development,
Okay.
we're meeting with, the chamber, next
Couple
month.
weeks.
Yeah, like 3 weeks to talk about a marketing plan. Our new person is on, the Canton person at the county is on board, so, that'll be, exciting. The CGI videos are finalized and we need to, interface with, Revise about how they are gonna be on our website. So I don't think necessarily putting it on our existing website at this moment
Right.
makes sense
Right.
until,
Yeah, we need to know, does it make sense to try to deal with putting the code in to put them on the website now and have it transitioned over? Or should we just
Just
wait
start.
till we're migrating and say, here, put this on? So we need
When's
that.
it ready to go? New website ready to go?
Uh,
When's migration?
that's communications and
Well-
technology report.
Oh, okay, we'll wait for
We'll
that.
get it, phase 2. Yes, there'll be a time lag,
Okay.
but it's some ways,
Yeah,
and it doesn't appear to be quite as simple as just like a link. Is that the impression you got from that email?
I think it has to be embedded.
It's a little more complicated than
little-
I thought it
yes.
was gonna be. I thought,
Maybe
I
just do it
cannot
once.
just go in the back end and drag and drop it, so.
yeah, a little more.
Maybe you ought to just do
They're
it once.
huge files, right?
That's what I
That's
think, and
yeah.
and like, just get it on there the right way
Right.
going forward,
Yeah,
is
Okay.
my feeling.
But we'll get their advice and
Right,
go
I
from
mean, it's
there.
been a year, so what's another month or however
Right.
long, it doesn't seem like.
Yeah.
Still haven't heard on New York Forward. They're trickling those out in a very slow manner. First one was back in October.
So far, it's only been the capital region that has been announced.
Okay.
Oh, how about that?
That's it.
Hopefully that doesn't mean like
Anything.
it's fodder for the budget.
You're
like,
right.
Oh, by the way, we're gonna.
Yeah, just
drop
kidding.
this.
None for the rest of you.
Yeah. What else, Anna? I'm forgetting some stuff.
The relocation guide ad.
Oh, right, the relocation guide. The chamber puts out a relocation, a physical paper relocation guide
And digital.
And it also digital, but there's also
Yeah.
a physical one, and we did produce it, help collaborated with them to come up with an ad for our Platinum Village,
Yep,
which is, everybody's pretty happy.
which I circulated earlier. Yep.
Fun.
And then I guess the only other thing, and I think Lee might have mentioned this if she had been here, would be to say that, you know, now is a really the prime time for people to be thinking about projects and plans for the upcoming grant season,
Yeah,
right?
think of
So
it now.
think about it now,
Plan later.
get the, you know, ducks in a row to apply. You know, the May 31st deadlines, and from there roll, you know, May, July, September. So
Start incubating your idea.
if there are ideas, if there are community groups that, you know, you're working with, or, you know, businesses that have a project, like now is the time to sort of foster that and put all of that together. So that's sort of for all of our department heads and board members. That was it for economic development, I think. Okay, communications and technology. We are, I think it's safe to say that we are getting close to having a complete site map. And the next step will be migration, which, if I am remembering correctly, would take just a couple of weeks. It is, am I right about
2 to
that?
3 weeks,
2
I
to
think.
3 weeks? So it is really all them. It's not, from what I can tell, we don't, you know, it's just all the
Let's hope
back,
not.
and let's hope
Right.
not, yeah.
That's the same amount takes, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then after that, it's about sort of finalizing and launching. So
And
I
training.
get it, yes, and that's when training will start to begin. So I feel like we could be in the like 3 to 4 months, maybe, but you know, how that
I think
what
we'll know
that
better
turns
once we
into,
actually finalize the site map. It's close, and
right?
Heidi's done such a fabulous job at organizing
Oh, man,
us.
tremendous amount of
I
work.
mean, yeah, she's
Yeah.
done a tremendous amount of work and made it a lot easier for the rest of us, I have to say.
Right,
And so she has had conversations with Revise, and
yeah,
we've got some real concrete things to answer, but
Yeah.
after that,
I think it's gonna start to move.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
It's
think-
exciting.
So it is exciting. That's it, communications and technology. I attended the Complete Streets meeting. Of course, we just had the presentation, but also just to note, you know, conversation about priorities for next year is happening. So as this does make sense, given the time of year it is. Infrastructure, a couple of things I wanted to talk about. The Transportation Alternatives Program, Safe Routes to School grant. We have talked about this, and you approved this application, was that last meeting? Anyway, recently. That grant has been submitted. As part of that grant process, we did public outreach, as you know, so we did a press release. And also, I went to every door on Cleveland, Milden, and the doors that lack sidewalks on Powers. The superintendent went with me for some of this. I took a letter explaining to residents about the application and asking for letters of support and a sample letter of support. As a result of all of that outreach, we received several letters of support, which we included with the application, as well as some people signed a sheet I took when I was able to have conversations at the door. We received a lot of feedback on the pros and cons of sidewalks in that neighborhood. And you know, so I want to say something about that. I guess I want to say that on the one hand, there were a lot of folks who were fans of the idea, not only because it would significantly help us address the drainage issue, which is a really big issue that we cannot otherwise at this point fund. But also because sidewalks and safety go together. And, you know, people would like sidewalks for, their children, senior family members, people using mobility aids, et cetera, to be able to be more safe on those streets. There were also a lot of people who, had a opposing, you know, had concerns and some who are against sidewalks, some who really value the character of the neighborhood as it is without the sidewalk. People have concerns about narrowing roads and parking. They, you know, how would parking be managed, for example? Concerns about, you know, if we put sidewalks in, then, you know, will people let their dogs come further up into our yards? You know, concerns like that. Would we be putting sidewalks on one side or two? You know, all of these sorts of concerns. So, I guess what I want to say is it was really good to get all of that feedback because you know what people are thinking and what their concerns are. But I really want to make the point that we have not, you know, made any kind of concrete design or plans, that we are trying to fix a drainage problem, that the village cannot afford to spend $1.2 million, or it's gonna be more by the time, you know, to, address the drainage on Cleveland. That this is a route to, be able to do that. And that if we are awarded this grant, at that point, then we're able to pay for the engineers to do the kinds of studies that would be able to address these concerns. And then at that point, we'll have community meetings, we'll go door to door, we'll make sure to, you know, get everybody involved in, you know, identifying and addressing concerns, including those and whatever other ones exist that are out there.
I
You've
sent
read
you
a lot
something
of that
else. Yeah,
feedback.
I sent you something today too.
Yeah.
There'll be more, you know, everybody will have an opportunity to see everything that's commented, as we go forward, but
Yeah,
I know you and Tim have gotten most of it, so.
yeah.
So there'll be a lot more work to be done,
Yeah.
if the grants
I
awarded.
mean, right,
And then, you know, what are our alternatives if it isn't awarded?
right.
And how we will proceed with improving, the situation up there in Cleveland.
Exactly, exactly. So, I just sort of wanted to share all of that, you know, I certainly want, you know, people to know that their concerns are being heard. You know, and that we have not just made a decision and are beginning construction.
Yeah.
We really,
Oh,
we are so far away from that, but this is just an attempt to be able to fund that. We think it's a feasible. And there are, you know, the fact is that sidewalks do significantly reduce accidents. And they, will direct water in the ways that we want water to go. So that can be, you know.
Super helpful.
The last thing just to say about our, wastewater treatment plant upgrades, Barton and LaJudas. I was just double checking that there wasn't, and, they are working on the design, they have begun. And also, we closed on the bond anticipation note on the 19th. Yes, and are actually beginning the process of the financing with EFC now, which will convert all of that to a 0%.
Right.
Very busy.
Next.
Last but not least.
I'm short and sweet.
The truck, looking to lease a new plow truck. Yes, that would enable us, and correct me if I get this wrong, but that would enable us to convert one of our trucks to a sand salt truck, which will make, yes, is that right?
Yes.
Which will make things more efficient. It will prolong the life of that truck.
Well, yeah, that other truck that we would be replacing is in very, very poor shape right now.
So Tim's working on that, I think, working with the clerks on best leasing options. And so that is good because that would be to us by our next
Yes,
season.
and it's structured the way our pickups are right now.
Right.
Essentially,
It's a pickup truck or a dump truck?
it's full-size dump truck.
Full-size
Dump
dump.
Big dog truck.
You done?
I'm done.
I'm just gonna be short and sweet. Just to
Fine.
say that the mayor. Well, I appreciate everything you've done. The mayor and I have, worked with, negotiations for, the police contract.
Yeah, and there'll
Pretty
be more,
diligently.
I think another spot on that, things are not where they need to be for us to approve anything, so.
Right, right, but they are being worked on and that has been, that's always a process. In it.
Okay,
Great.
you got anything else?
I have sustainability.
Oh, what do you got?
Just that, actually Anna and I and Kathy Strady had a very productive meeting. She's talked with the North Country Compost people about the grant writing. I think she very much gets the whole process. That the village has not been in the trash business and doesn't plan on going into the trash business. And they've got multiple, they're up, she's on it and other people on the committee are on it, and I think they're helping.
Good.
Helping the North Country Compost people see the big picture, and there's grant writing expertise on it, people, small business helping them, I think we're in a good place.
Okay.
They understand what their role is.
Yeah.
And
The other thing that happened after last month was that we got a $500 donation.
correct.
Reverend Mike came along and
Nice.
gave us a $500 donation.
Okay.
To continue that on for another month. So
Perfect.
there is some interest.
So
Okay.
they need to think about structuring their business, if it is a business. It's really a passion for Greg and Corey. I don't really think they look at it as a money-making business. So maybe they need to be a nonprofit and then they can get all kinds of donations and,
Yeah.
they'd be much more attractive as a grant recipient
Yeah.
in that
Yep.
way. So I think that's, there's people helping them
Okay.
see
Good.
some of these big picture options, so.
Yeah.
I feel good about where it is right now.
Any other committees out there?
Rec committee meets in a couple weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, we've gone to quarterly here.
Good
for a
deal.
while.
Okay, communications and information. The only thing I have is I got an email from Ruth Doyle. It looks like they will be doing a project kickoff scheduled for February 1st. She asked me to provide a copy of our seal so that we can get a joint letter out to the neighbors to tell them
Good.
what's going on. I'll circulate that to make sure everybody is comfortable. Want to try to send it out about the 22nd. And then there'll be some communications, public communications, probably through the media, on or about the 29th. So it looks like things will be ramping up over there at the Public Safety Building. They've agreed to everything we have. I know is Prayshaw working with you on some maybe detour signs or something or other type of signs? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys are gonna be, working that out. So that's coming, probably on or about the 1st of February.
Okay.
That
Start on a
closure will
Thursday,
happen.
huh?
So I just know that's gonna be their kickoff, so.
Yeah.
I think everything's getting lined up, so, stay tuned, there'll be more there.
I'm sorry, they expect that project to take about how long?
Well, they said about 9 to 12 months.
That's what I thought. Okay,
What their needs are gonna be
yeah,
for having that street closed is, we'll see.
right.
They're taking part of the parking lot and then the street and, they couldn't close. They had to have part of the street.
Yeah.
It's just the way it was gonna work out.
Yep.
so.
Yeah.
Okay, new business.
Old business.
Or I'm sorry, old business. I'm looking at the wrong place. Old business. Thanks for the correction. I have to add under 19 Minor Street, which I distributed the hazard survey contract with ATL. That's gonna be approval on there. Okay, 64 Main Street. We're still waiting for that demolition, but in the meantime, the building committee's been working with Clarkson on their projects. Last semester, they had some different teams working and we participated with some design. They're all coming up with different ideas based on what our needs are. So now this semester, groups are doing capstone projects and big senior projects. And, they have several projects that they're working on, not just Canton, but they're trying to go out into the real world and work on projects that,
How fortunate for
can
us.
people that,
Yeah.
well, it's it's good for us. It's good for the students.
Yeah.
We get a chance to work with them. I can't say that they're gonna come up with the final design for what we're gonna do, but, there may be some thinking out of the box.
Fresh energy.
Ann and I have been going to that, as Mary Ann and, John. So our next meeting is tomorrow. Our first meeting for this semester is tomorrow. So it's kind of fun to do, and these, students are interesting to work with, and they've toured around here, and poked around, and,
Totally love it.
so now it's a capstone project for them. It's a very interesting stuff has come out of it, and some of them are very professional at what they're
Yeah.
doing, so. I don't know if you wanted to add anything to that, but,
No, that about covers it.
okay, we'll see what happens.
We'll see what,
tomorrow.
we'll see. I'm looking forward to it. We've, I mean, basically I guess I do have something to say.
Find that hard.
Yeah, I know. Our, we went and we observed the 4 projects from last semester and gave our feedback on the presentations as well as the projects themselves. And so now what we're doing for this semester's group, which has some of the same people, but also different, is to look at those 4 projects and say, okay, here's where we think there's some good ideas and
Mhm.
stay away from this. And,
Right.
and to try to shape it a little bit to hopefully get somewhere that gives us some good ideas on ways we can address the municipal building issue. Y'all noted in Tim's report, the new leak in the building,
Oh.
yet one more, so.
Well, and, for any number of things, heat's not working right in here, so.
There are not enough plugs.
They're not.
There's not enough plugs.
But this is a
Obstacle
capstone
course.
project for these seniors,
Yeah.
and this is their final project.
Yeah.
This means a lot to those kids.
Yep.
Very
those
invested in.
students, so,
Yep.
it's fun to be involved in that.
Yeah.
So stay tuned. 19 Minor Street, we're moving along on that. Some of the problems are permissions that have to be gotten from the feds and, what we can move forward on. However, what's important is a hazard survey, that has to be done. I circulated the scope of services and a contract to you from ATL.
Yep.
They will be doing an asbestos containing materials, inspection. They'll be looking at lead containing materials. Possible PCB materials that might be out there. I probably never find any mold in there, but there will be a mold assessment. Boy, if you've ever.
That's quite a
walked
chuckle
there.
at that one. Identify a potential.
And, there's, they do a universal hazard materials, inventory of what may be around there. So, this is something that's gonna be needed prior to, demolition. And so we would like to move forward with that. These will be expenses covered ultimately by, the Restore New York grant that we got.
Yep.
$2 million grant. The cost for this in total is estimated, and I say estimated, there could be some differences there. It's $22,620.
Yes, the fine print does say, this is not a,
Unless otherwise stated.
Well, yeah, there are.
no, but this is not an up to
Not to
number.
exceed,
Yeah.
No,
Yes.
no.
Our best guess.
Well, they've been in
Yeah, I mean,
there,
they have to.
they've been in there, they did the phase 1 for us, they've been through the buildings, they know what they're looking at. So I think they have a good
I
handle.
actually am surprised, yeah, I'm a little surprised.
It may be more by the time we're done.
That's what I'm doing.
So quite a
I
step.
keep my mouth shut, but, yeah.
So,
Do you need a motion?
I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any further questions? All in favor?
Alright,
Hi.
Anyone opposed? Very good.
yay.
Mike, for that property, we also plan on posting it, for snow removal purposes like
Oh.
the other public parking lots are.
Yeah,
Okay,
no
good.
overnight parking during those
Correct.
months.
Snow removal,
Yeah.
those operations.
Post office is plowing out back though, right?
Post office, they plow their area.
Their area, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, next item, under new business is, payment of vouchers and transfer of funds.
Second.
All in favor?
I,
Any opposed? Next item is to appoint new fire department member, Alana Belkovich. I suspect our new trustee will probably, abstain.
Well, I will move it, the motion.
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Alana's soon to be,
Abstain.
soon to be wed. I had on here to approve MOUs with NYSUPA. That, we know where we're at, we're settled, but the red line that was going back and forth has not been adjusted properly. So Anthony has his own way of doing things. And I probably understated that. Beth is biting her tongue. So I would expect that that will be to us in time for next month.
I would agree.
I was hoping that it would have been here for this month, but,
We were close.
okay, now we got a fun one. I was
we had a lot of
asked,
commentary, didn't we?
I was asked if we would consider moving the road test area. It had originally been on Judson Street. That was a problem with, you know, how we reconfigured,
Right.
how the county reconfigured for the buses. It moved up to, Court Street. There were some problems on Court Street. Probably an unhappy resident or two up there. One in
Well, certainly in
particular.
light of the construction, it's
Well,
probably a
in
bad
light of the
idea.
construction, but I don't know if we're gonna be able to settle anything fast enough to avoid that.
Because it's starting so fast. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, the construction's happening in 2 weeks, so.
But, so we were asked to consider, I received a call. Sandy, the county clerk had talked to the supervisor for, the state for, DMV. And his people would like to look at Bird Street facing Hammond Street or Wells Street facing Hammond Street. And their third pick was West Street facing Park. West Street, I've looked at all three,
West Street
No.
makes.
you know, the big,
Done.
huh?
Hodgson Street.
No, just, we're not there yet. So those were the three that were recommended. You know, I don't know about putting it in a neighborhood,
Yeah,
you know, residential neighborhood. The other options that we've talked about internally here, you know, Commerce Lane, maybe near AAA is a possibility. Lincoln Street near the pavilion was something that came up. I don't know if that's good or not. And then Hodgkin Street, near the municipal lot, is a possibility. Now, I haven't run any of these by the supervisor for, the DMV. But-
So basically, so my question was that you answered, you know, why don't they just start it at the DMV on 310? I mean,
Yeah, that was looked at and it's too far away from,
from what?
well,
I mean, I'm sorry, it is not that far away.
that was poo-poo.
Right off the bat.
Well, not even this time around.
I think
Back
that-
when the last one was discussed and we put that to them.
So let,
And I
will-
think that's a tough driveway to come out of anyway.
I would,
I mean, you want, I mean.
You are hardcore.
Wait a second. You have to think that they are giving people licenses that deserve them. So, as opposed to like, both my kids failed the first go round. And I have to say, I was thankful because.
but to your point, the kids who are gonna fail, do you want them to come out of that driveway? I don't. I don't.
You'll have
I really
accidents.
don't. We'll have accidents. No way. Yep, because I actually think where it is right now can be busy, and I would much prefer it to be up on Martin Track to start. So that they can get warmed up and get out. But if we don't wanna, you know, I can understand other locations. But I don't love where it is right now.
Well, that, you know, that hasn't worked out for the person that's administering the tests.
I imagine.
That I can tell you. And he's gotten
I
into it
imagine.
with,
Is it the same guy? That we're all thinking of?
probably,
Holy smokes.
I've had
Yes.
a lot of,
Sorry.
I've got a lot of children.
and he's
do
gotten into it
this.
with somebody up there a couple of times. I won't name.
That's not gonna.
Much more fun when you got to park in front of the jail. I thought-
So anyways, Bird Street facing Hammond would be, if you come off Stillman and around the corner.
It's the lower,
The lower end.
half.
So, and would start on the side towards, Swing Canton.
Mhm.
The other option on Wells facing, Hammond would be along where the parking lot is for Bosse's.
Bosse's, right?
So here's my question, a second question. Given my interest in it having enough rigor to actually weed out the bad drivers.
Let's just do it on 310.
Well, are they gonna make a left turn onto 11? I mean, onto 68? That's not that easy out of there either.
No, it's not.
I don't know.
Or are they just gonna drive around that little neighborhood?
No.
How is that a test?
No, it's not.
Not even
Well,
a traffic light, for goodness
It
sake.
may be that they drive around the neighborhood, find someplace. They gotta find someplace to a 3-point turn, and they gotta find a car to park behind for, parallel park.
Yep.
And that's what they do, where they start from now. Sometimes they cross over Main Street and, use one of the neighborhoods, but they like to start generally in a, more of a commercial area,
Mhm.
and then move into a neighborhood to do what they have to do, because they don't want a lot of cars around when the kids are trying to, do their thing. These would be only, passenger vehicles, no truck
Mhm.
tests are done around here. Several of you asked some questions. They do 2 to 3 test sessions scheduled per month. Generally from 9 AM to 3:30.
So 3
They
days a
don't
month.
schedule, the schedule would be about 26 at the most.
A day?
A
day.
month, a day?
26.
Yeah, they stack them up.
Nine?
Well, it's about 15 minutes
They're
per,
only
Okay,
15 minutes long.
they bracket 15 minutes per,
Hmm.
and they, usually have 2 to 3 cars in the line at a time. And I have talked both
Make me
to
feel better.
them, talked to both, the supervisor, and I talked to the county clerk.
Okay.
They don't have much to do with the scheduling, but, she did provide some data for me.
Well, the scheduling is all electronic.
Yeah, you just.
Initially, when this came to me, I'd gotten a little heads up a couple of months ago that something might happen. I said, geez, I don't think we're interested in moving anything, but now that it's become formal, I have to bring it to the board for your input and
I
a
don't,
few giggles and,
I don't mind Hotchkiss. So they started at Hotchkiss. It's not a busy road for somebody, a parent to wait on.
well, there's a parking lot there and.
Right.
They can
so
go
Places to get
That
coffee.
I actually,
There are, there's
Or
a
traffic.
place there on the right. There's a place there on the right. You go over the stadium, get a drink. Is that what?
You should have been in the car when my son was learning how to drive. I
I
tell
just
ya.
wanna be.
In the city of Canandaigua, they start out in a municipal parking lot. And then they go into the neighborhood.
We don't even have a
like
parking lot that doesn't have a
Hopkins.
pothole in it though.
But that's
Works out great.
But that's life.
Can I
driving
take
in
Lincoln
on
Street right off the table?
Well, it's just something that was out there, that's all.
Cause
So,
cars are parked up and down the street
I
from
well,
8
totally
AM
agree with
until 10 PM. There's no lines in the middle of the road
100%.
and we have a playground.
That'd be a true test.
And
Yeah.
like the chief said, we have a drinking problem down there, so let's not make that.
it would only be Monday through Friday during the day.
Yeah.
so.
No,
So-
I agree with you though.
Yeah,
There are
there's just-
times.
There's
that
a lot
that's-
of.
There's no
reasons
lines in the
not to do it.
road, there's,
Yeah.
there's no
I like
shoulders.
hot
You know how easy it'd be to put a line down that road?
Well, you know what, driver's ed already comes down to the parking lot every day. And I
And
keep
that's
my
scary
car
enough.
away from that.
That's scary enough.
I guess Hotchkiss, the only thing about that is, isn't that usually, I mean, I feel like people are usually pretty well parked. And it's narrow. So to have.
The only
people
place you would
lined up-
use, the only place you could use, going up Hodgkins, be on the right-hand side, just past the parking lot.
Yeah, in front of the, in
In front of the,
it's a rental
That'd be the
Yeah.
only place you could do it. That was one thing that came out.
but you
As
could-
far as the parking lot start, we could look at,
So you'd immediately go out and then take I would.
Hopefully
they go
go the
where
right
they,
way
they
on
go where they
the
go.
way.
They go where they
Fail
go.
Pretty quick when you get to the end of the street, see
Yeah.
what side of the road they're on. Then you can just loop around and be like,
Really cut the
next.
time right down, right? Not those.
If you take a right turn from the left lane, or you take a left turn from the right lane, you know they're all in trouble.
Or if you just exit the parking lot in the wrong direction, you're done.
You're done. You're kind of, yeah.
Anyways.
Definitely done.
This is what's been put to us, and
So Hodgkins, and what were the other two? Oh, up there.
Commerce.
Oh, yeah.
commerce was a possibility.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be too bad of a problem if the road test went through the neighborhood per se. I think it's
No.
more just the lineup that gets
Yeah,
to be an
right.
issue because you have somebody
constant.
aimlessly wandering around for 15 minutes.
Right.
And the.
While they're waiting.
And
Well,
it does
usually
go-
they're,
yeah, it
It does
usually
go
they,
up and down Goodrich. That's where they parallel park a lot of
Yeah.
the times, or Farmer
Oh,
Street.
yeah, yeah, they
they
all
have to
go through.
stand, right now where they are, they have to stand and wait.
Right.
They don't go anywhere. Mom and dad stand there and wait.
Oh,
But you
yeah.
are, I guess my point is when it was on, Judson Street or there, you are kind of in a public sector, I will
Yeah,
say, right?
yeah,
You
there's-
know, cause you have the
well-
course, you have,
There's a bench.
there's a bench.
Sat
There's a
on it
bench,
a
yep.
couple times.
Yep. Right, or the jail.
Well,
Jail.
I said.
how would you like me to proceed? I have to give this guy some sort of answer or guidance.
Well, we're not being very helpful, it seems.
Well, I would say the
actually
Bird
like
Street
that
one,
one.
it's not any worse than many others. Is what will the neighbors, I mean, I think that's everyone's concern. It's a strictly
Right, the
residential,
residential, yeah.
very quiet street, I would say. And now all of a
super quiet
sudden, it's a super quiet street. All of a
And people
sudden,
from all over the county.
can come and park on there. I mean,
Well, there's
that's
the,
gonna annoy the
the
people who live
number,
there.
the number of tests that go on, in Canton now has been reduced because they have another site in, Ogdensburg now
Mhm.
that they're doing it.
So the Wells Street one, that's near, is it near the Bosse's parking lot?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, that seems a little better, cause it's just, it's near a
Right.
parking lot. I don't know, maybe you could put a bench there.
The only thing is you do get some, they could possibly run into a hiccup when they do like their staff development days. You'll get a lot of
Mhm.
parking on that particular,
But
street.
those are really specific days.
They have it more than a couple, I don't know exactly, but the one day they have a test, they could have
Yeah,
overflow parking.
More places to parallel park.
So if we were gonna rank order
mhm.
these options,
The ones that they presented or the
all
ones-
of the options on the table, where would we, I mean, do we wanna start at number one or, number five?
But
Sounds
we've
like
already
people-
eliminated West Street.
Okay, we've eliminated West,
as
definitely.
Not good.
Yeah.
right?
I don't, yeah. And I don't love Devon.
Oh,
I
and
would-
Lincoln,
I
I think
would
we should
definitely
eliminate that
eliminate.
too.
I'm with you
Okay.
on that.
I'm with you, that's.
100%.
So-
So the other ones on the table are Commerce Lane,
Uh-huh,
Bird
Bird,
Street,
Wells,
Wells Street,
and
Hodgkins, Hodgkins Street.
So I have one more.
Go ahead.
uh-huh.
You know where we don't let them park anymore for, during the winter on Pearl?
That's not
By
gonna
the-
help them in the short term, is it?
Not in the short term, no,
If,
but in the long term, is that a spot?
Yep.
Yeah,
Sure is.
certainly is.
It's right by the police station and all the, yeah.
Easy to file an accident report.
we're here,
Well, that's
we're here to
what
make
we're
your
here.
life simpler.
Where does it, they don't park on Pearl?
Top,
The top of it during the winter time, because of plowing, we had some,
Right.
Oh.
we created a no parking
Year or
during the
two?
winter. Yeah, this is the second year, so.
Sort of
That's-
from the
that's-
corner to the bank parking.
Almost the whole year.
Yep, it will.
Well, and I
Also,
guess
you're gonna have issues with, other people see cars parking there, then they're gonna go, well, I'm gonna park here. too.
Right,
Well,
That's true.
it's labeled for, for the purpose, so.
Yeah, but
That's all.
only
And I-
2 cents a month.
I think my concern there too is, I mean, that is just, where they are now, they're headed out, and if we had them on Pearl Street, they're kind of right in the thick of an
they
already
have to make a
very,
turn. God forbid.
I say parallel park on the trooper car.
There we
There
go.
you go.
Under.
Ruff tried to do that down on 81, didn't work out.
Oh, my goodness.
I saw
Think
that.
everybody's hurt.
Anyway, so, you know,
You have a question.
and we can table this for
Can I ask?
another time.
Can I ask what the chief's thoughts are?
Yeah,
I don't love Pearl Street. I just think it's gonna it's gonna snowball into other people parking there too, because people love to take advantage. If they see a little sliver, they're gonna do it.
Oh, my.
Okay.
And then we're the jerks. I like Hodgkin, I like Commerce.
Well, you'd have to take those and take them back to him, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
See if
Commerce,
that's
there's
even
no
anything
neighbors.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
Yeah,
no
but-
residential, and that's an upside, then.
well,
it's not
but it
gonna
may be a downside, because they're gonna have to get somewhere to do either right and left turns and
Well,
parallel
that's
park
the
and
point of
all
the
that stuff. So
guiding.
But I think they could go straight across. into the
I will present those ideas.
I would, I mean, Commerce
That's-
gives you a couple of options, cause you could go out and you have to take a nice hard left
So
turn.
tell me what you would like to present as alternates.
Commerce.
Commerce,
I like Hodgkins.
Why don't this
Whatever
be pushed to the crops? They know the traffic flow and, you know, how busy everything is and where it should be. You know. Why are you guys making this?
Cause that's just,
That's
it
our-
falls on
That's
our lap.
So are they gonna, so we can make recommendations, they're gonna ultimately choose, is that the,
No, if
We're
we
gonna-
don't, if we're not happy,
we tell them yes?
we tell them we're not happy.
Got it.
I mean, can you just say we have concerns about the residential, especially
Yeah.
Bird Street, cause it's very private and low traffic right now,
Very
nobody
nowhere, yeah.
nobody's gonna be too thrilled.
Do you think Wells is a better spot?
I think Wells is a better
Like,
spot, I think,
What about Stillman? Right there by the alumni house. There's a whole stretch there. There's a big field there. Nobody parks on Stillman. And it won't be in front of my house.
That could be in front of your house.
It's right down within.
Stu's house.
Yeah, it's in
Stu's
front of Stewie's house.
I know, but.
but I mean, that's a really quiet street, and I just can't imagine, I would be irate if I lived in there, and all of a sudden you got a
So
line.
what I need to know what to present to.
So we
this
said
guy.
Wells,
Wells, facing Hammond,
we said Hodgkins,
Hodgkin,
uh,
okay.
and we,
And
the
Commerce
first one we said was Commerce Ave.
Wells, you're still gonna be in front of the neighbors too.
Right, I think you could say,
But I guess they're a little.
we would
They don't have
consider
that
Wells, but it's not our favorite.
Houses on
What's not our favorite?
Bird Street,
Wells.
you know, the field. it's
I think we're
facing
trying to
the
move them
field
towards
across the
Covers
street.
or.
Yeah, I know.
But it's just quiet, I think. The other people at least have the BOCES in and out, that they're used to some
Mhm.
hubbub. I don't think anybody's gonna be thrilled to have it in there.
Hodgkins is my favorite.
That and Commerce, I think
I will
those are
look
the ones
closer
we've
then.
come down to.
Okay,
All
to be
right.
continued.
Yeah.
I mean, if they were, I mean, if they wanted to go on the Martin track, you just would have to do some sort of public hearing for your residents.
They don't currently go.
They're not
near
gonna,
That neighborhood.
they're not gonna go where we don't want them.
Okay.
Well, and the roof
Simple
isn't
as
going
that.
anywhere near that.
Wonder why they didn't pick the spot, next to Bosa's parking lot on Hammond. Before the entrance into the parking lot. There's probably enough room there for like.
Right,
5
Dave,
cars
oh, right, like facing Main Street, you're saying?
Facing Main,
Yeah.
right on, so you'd be on the right, like pointed out toward the main,
Mhm.
and after
Sure.
that residence.
Adjacent to the,
I think the problem is like, I'm not, by any means a DMV expert, but I think the test is built to have multiple levels, so if you don't get past level 1, we don't go on the big street, we go back to the test site, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
so
right.
that,
You're trying to
That's
assess,
very
am
true.
I taking my life in your
yeah,
my
he says,
hands if I let you out on the
She
main
didn't, she
drag?
didn't signal pulling out, we better not even, go to the big road, you know, so I think that's probably how the test is.
I believe your philosophy is, could be correct.
I'm not, but I've taken a few DMV tests, and if you don't make it past this level, you don't go
Yeah,
to the
you're
next
done.
level,
You're
so
done.
that's probably why they start
Yeah.
out in a quiet, where if they're headed for the big street, they don't.
And that's right, Hodgkins could be.
It really could
where-
work, cause it would
right,
take, yeah, cause it's
because-
only a right, it's
Right.
into a neighborhood.
And they can go right past where they started in the first place,
Yep.
and then they can do their little route.
I was trying to think if there was somewhere up on like SUNY Canton even, but I don't think there is.
Okay, we'll move on and we'll
All
bring it
right,
back
that
to
was
you.
fun.
Okay, proposal to increase sewer waste dumping rates.
Yep.
The superintendent, provided you with a document and a recommendation. We typically, and I don't know when the last time was that we raised rates, it's been a while. This is for, trucked waste that comes in. It was at AJ's, who else is coming? AJ's and
Rivers,
Rivers.
AJ's and Rivers are the biggest.
So they dump in our, sewer plant. We charge them a fee. Some was 7, some was, 5 cents a gallon. And Tim is recommending we move up to 7 cents a gallon for everyone.
Yeah, I mean,
The other thing that he's also, in that document he sent you, there's some discussion about some, dairy waste that for a weekend.
About a little bit higher. Hey, comment. Don't like me talking.
What, your phone?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We won't say her name.
Might have been my wife, I'm not sure.
Yikes. Oh, dear.
Oh, you're headed down a peg.
Yeah, we've got one, Lowville, Craft and Lowville's has asked us about hauling in on the weekends.
Okay.
So we're discussing that with the DEC right now. So we have to have that okay. with
Solids
DEC.
and, you know, whatever it is. Okay.
and that's the rationale for the 10 cents. It's a little more,
Yep.
Yeah.
and more involved with it being
Right.
processed.
Did you
Okay.
say Loudville?
Yeah.
As in loud?
Yeah,
That's how
cheese
cheap
plant.
it is.
Wow,
Yeah.
okay,
But you-
that's a ways to haul.
Yeah, but you might get somebody like Burns who's hauling it and they gotta come back here anyways.
It's just, but it's just fascinating. That's
Would
all.
that, they have access on the weekends, certain times?
Mhm.
A lot of municipalities between here and there. is what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Yep.
That, not that have water treatment plants, just government. Or
Okay.
Watertown. It's true.
Yeah, no,
Well,
and take it.
do you need a motion?
Yeah.
So moved, right, increase it to
Yeah.
7 cents.
Second. For sure.
Further recommendation?
Yes.
Second,
Yeah, I already did, yeah.
any further discussion? All in favor?
I,
Any opposed? Next item I put on there with joint meeting dates with the town. The next one is the 24th of this month. Then the 24th of April, the 24th of July, and the 23rd of October.
And are they all 6 p.m.?
they all start at 6.
So there's one next week, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's kind of a surprise for you, so I don't
That's okay.
expect that, if you gotta be absent, you gotta be absent. The T after each one of, 2 of them is that the town is the host. They get to do the agenda. So with that being said, is there anything you want on the agenda?
For next week.
We're gonna talk about, like building committee update, we wanna talk about sand salt storage. Waterfront Advisory Committee, she wants to talk about the history and role of Sustainability Committee. She threw out their warming center discussion, shared services and ethics committee. I think a reminder that down the road, shared services, just,
How about an update on where we are with the comprehensive plan oversight?
okay,
That's a joint item.
some of these will be quick, but, okay, I'll have that add. Anything else? I gave you a quick rundown. I'm not sure if everything will end up on there, but,
It's a list.
we've already talked about it. I talked to her about a couple of things anyway, so. Okay. Done deal. May meeting,
That's the
it's a conflict with Nikon.
Yes.
So what do you want to do?
Right now it's the 15th.
22nd.
I mean, we could either move the, to the 4th week. or to the, like, the 14th. I mean, I feel like
So,
those are
if
kind
this
of
is
the two
helpful at all,
options.
I am likely going to be in DC with more SLU students that week, so the 14th doesn't help us there. I'm happy to do it on the 22nd. If that matters.
22nd's fine with me. I
22nd,
just, you know,
fine with me.
What date?
how's it look like for, you, John?
The
I'm good on the 22nd.
I have grievance made. Okay, the other one.
At 6:30.
Barb? You
Yeah,
okay?
good, I'm good.
I guess that's settled then. Okay, St. Lawrence County hold harmless resolution. Pretty standard, piece that we sign every year.
It's not our fault.
Any questions on that? Need a motion to approve,
So moved.
Second,
all in favor?
I,
Anyone opposed? Okay, and the last item is the general code. E-code, API contract. This is a piece that goes along with, what Tim has done for his code software. I believe this works between E-code and the code software, so there's a tie in there. The initial cost is $845 for setup and first year maybe, is that the way I read it?
yes,
And then there'll be a recurring fee of, $595
at least for the first year.
for the first year. But this ties, and this is funded through the grant that we've received.
I mean, I would think that the grant would pay for this as well. It'll pay for code software, so I would assume that it would pay for the API key, but I don't know. I guess that's a question for them. Of course, this is we're sort of agreeing to something ongoing, so at a certain point, we don't have the grant anymore. But for
Could
this,
you ask them about paying in advance? So
sure,
pay a couple of years.
Couple of years
maintenance.
up,
If you have
yeah.
a grant money, pay it now with the
Yeah.
grant money
yeah,
and just be.
that's a
ahead
good
of the game.
idea.
And then
There's
you
a
also lock
substantial
in your
amount of
price.
money we
I
have.
mean, there is,
So we're gonna
So-
be good for a while.
okay,
So
So
we can
pay-
ask that question, we can approve this and ask that question.
Sure.
yeah,
100%, but I would.
right,
Then also you lock in your rate.
for those years.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Last item is public comment. Does anybody have any? What did I
Were
do?
we supposed to deal with the community-based project request during infrastructure?
Oh, no,
That was.
Sorry.
no, we distributed that.
Okay, but we weren't dealing with it.
I don't think we're dealing with it yet, no.
Okay.
It's out there for information,
Okay,
and then I think you're gonna have to have some conversation.
Okay.
Committee wise.
it was in the packet, so I
Yeah,
was like, I
well,
don't
we
know.
wanted to get- But I
Okay,
didn't put it on the agenda.
I-
Tim didn't bring it up in his report, so I didn't.
okay, got it.
Work in progress.
We're gonna work on that. So,
Okay,
public comment, any public comment? 1, 2, 3. Okay, I need a motion to go into executive session for personnel.
So moved.
Second.
Any- All in favor?
aye.
Nobody opposed. Shut her down. Sally, you're gonna hang out and Sharon's gonna hang out.
Totally random.
Thank you, everyone.